Hello and welcome back to Newsline, brought to you by People's TV. You may recall a young man named Erfan Soltani, whom we mentioned a few days ago. He was allegedly sentenced to be hung on the 14th for blasphemy against Allah by the Ayatollah regime in Iran, after protesting the government. The image on your screen is of Soltani. The US government warned Iran of possible retaliation if arrested protesters were executed. Amid this tense situation, Erfan Soltani has reportedly been killed. On January 15, Abbas Arachi said the execution decision was still uncertain. However, reports from the Jerusalem Post claim that Soltani was beaten to death while in prison. This is a deeply tragic development. Unfortunately, it is not the first time such a horrific incident has occurred in Iran. In 2022, Mahsa Amini was killed in a similar manner in an Iranian prison for not wearing the hijab. Iran and its oppressive regime continue to carry out these inhumane acts. Even today, the people of Iran are demanding justice. Amini's death sparked widespread protests across the country in 2022. Reports now suggest that former President Trump is considering creating an alternative to the United Nations, claiming that the UN has been compromised by radical Islamist influences, the same ideology that drives the Ayatollah regime. The UN Secretary General, who has regularly criticized Israel, remained silent during the October 7 attacks and has also not addressed Iran's human rights abuses. We do not need organizations that fail to uphold justice, and we must stand against them. While Erfan Soltani's death has not been confirmed by all media outlets, the Jerusalem Post is recognized as a credible international news source. The video you are seeing on the screen right now captures the powerful voices of people protesting from their residential buildings, shouting slogans like "Death to Khamenei." In Iran today, simply stepping outside has become a deadly risk. Anyone who takes to the streets is vulnerable to being shot by the army, leaving citizens fearful for their lives. Yet, even in the face of such extreme danger, the Iranian people continue to find ways to resist. Many have turned their homes into platforms for protest, chanting and raising their voices from windows, rooftops, and balconies. This demonstrates their unwavering courage and determination to express their anger against the oppressive regime, refusing to be silenced even when the consequences could be fatal. It is a stark reminder of the depth of frustration and the desire for justice among ordinary Iranians, who continue to resist despite the constant threat to their lives. Social media is now flooded with footage from Iranians both inside the country and abroad, including those relying on Starlink for internet access. The video displayed on your screen was captured on January 8, with additional recordings from Tehran on the 8th and 9th. These images reveal a nation in turmoil, with protests and acts of defiance spreading across cities and towns. Citizens are risking their lives to make their voices heard, showing remarkable bravery in the face of extreme danger. The Iranian regime, aware that the unrest could spiral out of control, responded with violence, using lethal force in an attempt to suppress the movement. These videos offer an unfiltered glimpse into the scale of the uprising and the lengths ordinary people are going to resist an oppressive government that seeks to silence them. The courage displayed reflects a society determined to challenge injustice, despite the imminent threats to their lives. Some mainstream media outlets have claimed that the footage circulating online is fake and that there is no ongoing crisis in Iran, insisting that death tolls are exaggerated or exhausted. Abbas Arachi, Iran's foreign affairs minister, publicly stated that there was little harm and few protests as of January 15. However, just 2 days later, on January 17, Ayatollah Khamenei himself acknowledged that thousands had died. Official reports now indicate that around 5,000 people have lost their lives. Regardless of the exact number, no government has the right to kill its own citizens. These individuals were not victims of accidental deaths, they were deliberately targeted and killed. Multiple reports from outlets such as Iran International have documented these killings, providing further evidence of the regime's brutal crackdown on its people. The discrepancy between official statements and on-the-ground reality highlights the extent of misinformation and the urgent need for global attention and accountability. In another disturbing development, when the families of the deceased attempt to claim the bodies of their loved ones, government officials reportedly demand bribes before releasing them. These officials are said to assess the wealth of the relatives through surveillance and monitoring, using this information to set the amount of the bribe. The sums demanded can range from 250 million tomans to several billion tomans. In Iran, the currency unit used in these transactions is often the toman rather than the rial, as the rial has lost much of its value due to inflation and currency fluctuations. For reference, 1 toman is equivalent to 10,000 rials. This practice highlights the extreme corruption and exploitation faced by ordinary citizens, who are forced to pay exorbitant sums to retrieve the bodies of their loved ones, adding insult to the profound tragedy of losing a family member under such brutal circumstances. It underscores the oppressive nature of the regime, where even in death, ordinary people are subjected to exploitation and abuse. If this report helped you see the situation on the ground clearly, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe to People's TV, where truth has no agenda, and facts speak louder than spin.
Subscribe us for more details.